Welcome to the OmniDental Podcast. So, on the drive over here, I was listening to this tech podcast about biohacking.
Oh, those ones, yeah.
Yeah, the tech guys spending like thousands on cryotherapy, smart rings, all this stuff just to optimize their performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it just struck me. We are constantly looking for these external tools to fix our internal state. But looking at the research stack we have today, it feels like we're ignoring a piece of hardware we already own.
Hardware we already own. I like that framing.
It is hardware.
Yeah,
it's right there on your face.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the smile,
Yeah.
but not the, social pleasantry version.
Right.
I'm talking about a biological remote control that can apparently rewrite your own brain chemistry
Yeah.
and kind of dictate the behavior of everyone else in the room.
It sounds like hyperbole when you say remote control, but looking at the physiology, you're really not that far off. We are diving into the mechanics of the smile today.
Mm-hmm.
And we aren't just talking about saying cheese for a selfie.
Yeah.
We're looking at the genuine physiological event of smiling and what that actually does to the human machine.
Exactly. So the mission for this deep dive is to unpack that intersection between psychology and physiology, specifically when it comes to smile confidence.
Right.
We're going to strip away the fluff and look at the hard science.
Yeah.
And then we're going to ground all that in reality by looking at a specific philosophy of care from OmniDental and Med Spa in Arlington Heights, Illinois.
It's a really smart pairing of sources, I think. Usually you have these abstract psychological papers on one side and then, clinical dental brochures on the other.
Totally separate worlds.
Exactly. But the argument here is that they're really the same topic. You can't separate the mental health aspect of smiling from the physical health of the teeth.
The central thesis that just jumped out at me from the reading was this. A confident smile is not cosmetic.
No, we need to stop using that word.
We do. It's a driver of mental well-being. It's a currency for social trust. And it's a lever for professional success.
And a lever for health, which
Yeah.
I think is where we should probably start.
Okay, let's get into that biofeedback loop. This was the first, moment for me in the research.
Uh-huh.
I think most of us operate on a pretty simple cause and effect model. I see a puppy, the puppy is cute, I feel happy, therefore I smile. The emotion drives the motion.
Right.
But the research says the arrow actually goes both ways.
It does. It's called the facial feedback hypothesis. It's a staple in psychological research, and it's just fascinating.
Okay.
Essentially, your brain is constantly monitoring your body to figure out how it should feel. When your facial muscles contract.
So it's like a check-in.
Exactly, a constant check-in. Specifically, the zygomatic major muscle, which is the one that pulls up the corners of your mouth. That physical movement sends a signal right back to the brain.
And the brain just notices the muscle tension and goes, oh, we're smiling. We must be happy.
In layman's terms, yeah, that's pretty much it. It triggers a whole chemical cascade. It's not just a reaction to feeling good, it's a switch.
A switch.
Yeah. Even if you don't feel happy initially, the physical act of engaging those muscles signals the brain to release specific neurotransmitters. We're talking about dopamine, which is the reward chemical,
Right.
endorphins, which are natural painkillers, and serotonin, which is a huge mood stabilizer.
See, that's the technical detail I think people miss. We aren't just talking about good vibes. We are talking about a quantifiable release of serotonin. You are literally chemically engineering your own mood.
Precisely. And the key here is the impact on stress. The research highlights that this chemical cocktail actively lowers your heart rate and blood pressure. It reduces cortisol.
Wow.
So when you smile, you are physiologically forcing your body out of a fight or flight state and into a rest and digest state.
Which brings us to this idea of coping that was in the source text. I usually think of coping mechanisms as these heavy, complex strategies, like therapy or meditation.
Sure.
But the text suggests that a smile is a tool for resilience, like in real time.
It is a real-time regulator. Think about a high-pressure scenario. You're in a meeting that's going off the rails, or you're stuck in just brutal traffic on the I-90.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. Your natural instinct is to clench your jaw, frown, and spike your cortisol. The research suggests that consciously choosing to smile in that moment, it actually disrupts the stress response.
It's like a circuit breaker.
Exactly. It shifts your focus and restores a level of calm. It doesn't solve the traffic, but it solves your body's reaction to the traffic. It lets you navigate the situation with a clearer head because you aren't drowning in stress hormones.
Okay, so that's the internal machinery. That's what's happening inside the black box of my own head. But we don't live in black boxes. We are social animals. And the sources had a lot to say about the social signal.
This is where that remote control analogy you used really holds up. We have to remember that humans are hardwired to read faces. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism.
Right.
We judge a face in milliseconds long before you can even say hello.
Right, the whole first impression window. It's what, like 7 seconds? Or even less.
The data says it's often a fraction of a second for that initial safety check. And the smile is the universal green light. In almost every culture, an open, relaxed smile signals, I am not a threat. I am open to collaboration.
That collaboration part seems huge for our professional listeners. The text links smile confidence directly to teamwork.
It did, and it makes total sense. It comes down to approachability. If you are a team leader or even just a colleague, and you walk in with a neutral or stern expression, what some people call resting face,
Right.
people's primitive brains read that as potential aggression or disinterest. They keep their guard up. But if you walk in with a genuine smile, you are signaling safety.
And when people feel safe, they share ideas,
Yeah.
they trust you more.
Exactly. Trust is the currency here. The research shows that people who smile are perceived as more competent, more likable, and more trustworthy. In a negotiation or a sales meeting, that biological signal can be the difference between closing a deal and hitting a wall.
There was also this concept of the ripple effect in the notes,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming is basically just contagious smiling.
It is, and it's thanks to something called mirror neurons. We are wired to mimic the expressions we see. If I smile at you, it is physically difficult for you to frown back at me. Your brain wants to mirror my state. So if you enter a room smiling, you are literally guiding the physiology of everyone else in that room. You are softening the tension before a word is even spoken.
So you're setting the thermostat for the social climate.
That's a great way to put it. You aren't just a participant in the conversation. You are setting the tone just by using your face.
Okay, so we've established the stakes here. A smile is a superpower. It releases dopamine for me. It builds trust with you. It chills out the entire room. It's basically a miracle drug. But, and here is the massive roadblock we have to confront. Sometimes the battery can be dead.
Or, to keep with your analogy, you might be afraid to even take the remote control out of your pocket.
Right, the physical barrier. The source material from OmniDental was very clear on this. You cannot use this psychological tool if you have a physical barrier, specifically dental insecurity.
And this is the tragedy of dental anxiety. The text discusses fear and discomfort as these silent inhibitors. And it's not just vanity. We are not talking about someone who just wants to look like a movie star.
No.
We are talking about a deep-seated subconscious hesitation.
It's that micro-hesitation, right? I thought that was such a profound term.
It is. Imagine you're at a dinner party and someone tells a great joke. Your brain sends the signal, laugh, smile. But then a split second later, a secondary signal fires. Don't show your teeth, they're stained, or that gum is inflamed, or you have that gap you hate.
So you stifle it. You do that closed mouth smirk instead.
You suppress the impulse. And that suppression is exhausting. It takes real cognitive load to constantly monitor your own face.
I bet.
But worse, it kills the signal we just talked about. If you suppress the smile, you don't get the dopamine release. And the people around you don't get the green light. They get a mixed signal. They might read you as aloof, or secretive, or even unhappy.
It changes your whole demeanor. The research even mentioned posture changes.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
If you are hiding your teeth, you tend to lower your head. You might avoid direct eye contact because you don't want people looking at the lower half of your face. You might even speak less because you don't want to draw attention to your mouth.
That is just, it's heartbreaking when you think about it. You become a smaller version of yourself.
Yeah.
You turn into a yellow light or a red light socially. Not because you're a bad person, but because you're protecting a vulnerability.
Exactly. You are closed off defensively. And that is why the source material argues that dental care is, in fact, mental health care. Removing that barrier isn't just about enamel, it's about liberating the personality.
And that segues perfectly into the solution partner we're looking at today. Because if the problem is physical, the solution has to be clinical. This is where OmniDental and MedSpa enters the picture.
Right. They are located at 305 E. Rand Road in Arlington Heights. But reading through their practice philosophy, it seems like they don't position themselves as just a repair shop for teeth. They really seem to understand this psychological connection we've been talking about.
And looking at the map, they are really a hub for that whole Northwest Chicago suburban area.
Oh yeah, it's not just Arlington Heights. The documentation lists Buffalo Grove, Palatine, Mount Prospect, Rolling Meadows. It's a pretty wide net.
Schaumburg, Wheeling, Des Plaines, Elk Grove Village.
Right, so they're positioning themselves as the regional center for this kind of comprehensive care.
Let's talk about the clinical lead, Dr. Bylis Poles.
Yeah.
What did you glean from his background in the notes?
Dr. Baylis-Poles, DDS. The key metric that stood out to me was the over 10 years of experience. In dentistry, that's a real sweet spot. It means you have the muscle memory and the pattern recognition of veteran.
But you're likely still very hungry and engaged with all the newest tech.
The text highlights his precision and care, and a friendly approach. Usually friendly just sounds like marketing fluff, but based on what we just discussed about anxiety, I feel like friendly is actually a clinical requirement here.
It is absolutely a clinical requirement. If a patient is already hesitant to smile, they're probably terrified of the dentist. They expect judgment. They expect pain.
Yeah.
So having a provider with a friendly approach helps dismantle that fear response before the patient even sits down in the chair.
And the practice description seems to double down on that. They call it a relaxing environment.
And they mention treating patients like family. That's the core philosophy. And they mean the whole family spectrum, from toddlers to seniors.
Yeah.
When you treat a patient like a family member, you aren't just trying to, upsell a crown. You are looking at their long-term well-being.
Yeah.
That psychological safety is the antidote to the dental fear that keeps people away. I want to pivot to the tech side for a minute. The source material mentions state-of-the-art technology. Now, I'm a gadget guy, so I love this stuff. But in dentistry, does it actually matter? Or is it just bells and whistles?
No, 2025. Oh, it matters immensely. It's the difference between analog and digital. When the source talks about advanced technology, they're likely referring to things like digital imaging and intraoral scanners.
So no more of that goopy stuff they shove in your mouth to take a mold.
Exactly. That's a comfort thing. But more importantly, it's about diagnostic accuracy. High-def imaging lets a dentist see a crack or a cavity before it becomes a root canal. It allows for what we call conservative treatment.
Conservative meaning you keep more of your real tooth.
Correct. Old-school dentistry often required removing a lot of healthy structure just to fix a problem. Modern, high-tech dentistry is minimally invasive. You drill less, you save more natural tooth, and the recovery is faster. And that directly impacts the fear factor we talked about.
There was one other feature of OmniDental that stood out to me because I rarely see it. They describe themselves as an environmentally conscious dental practice.
I caught that too. It's a very modern, thoughtful touch. Dentistry generates a lot of waste plastics, barriers, water usage.
For sure.
For a practice to explicitly state they use sustainable practices to minimize that impact, it shows a level of conscientiousness that usually translates to patient care too.
It's a holistic mindset. If they care about the water supply, they probably care about you.
Exactly. And they note they do this without compromising safety or quality. So it's high-tech, high-touch, and green.
It fits that one-stop shop narrative they have going. I'm looking at the service list here.
Yep.
It's pretty exhaustive.
It is, and that matters for continuity of care. They list general dentistry and preventive care, which is your basic maintenance, but they also handle the heavy lifting, root canals, dental implants.
And emergency services.
That's the big one. If you wake up on a Saturday with a throbbing abscess, you do not want to be Googling strangers. You want to go to the place that knows your history. OmniDental emphasizes relieving pain so patients can return to pain-free living. That availability is a huge psychological safety net.
I want to spend the last few minutes on the cosmetic aspect, because earlier we kind of bashed the word cosmetic.
You did.
But OmniDental offers teeth whitening and other cosmetic adjustments.
Yeah.
Based on our deep dive today, I think we need to reframe how we talk about those services.
We absolutely do. The text argues for reframing cosmetic dentistry as a wellness tool. And I love that phrasing.
It changes the intent. It's not about vanity, it's about function.
Think about the identity preservation concept in the source notes. This is crucial. Cosmetic dentistry doesn't change who you are. Dr. Poles isn't trying to make you look like a different person. He is trying to remove the barrier that prevents you from being that person.
So if I'm a happy guy, but I have yellow teeth, there is a disconnect between my identity and my presentation.
Right. You are misaligned. You feel joy, but you project hesitation. Whitening or bonding or veneers, these aren't about vanity. They are about alignment. They align your outside with your inside so that when you feel that impulse to smile, there is zero friction. You just let it fly.
And when you let it fly, we're right back to the biology.
We close the loop. You fix the teeth, which means you smile without fear. That triggers the dopamine and serotonin, which lowers your stress, and you signal confidence to the world.
The virtuous cycle.
It's a feedback loop that pays dividends for decades.
It's wild to think that a checkup in Arlington Heights can actually result in better brain chemistry. But the pathway is really clear.
It sounds like a leap, but the physiology is undeniable.
So let's wrap this up and crystallize it for the listener. We started with the idea that your smile is a remote control for your life.
And we found that the batteries for that remote control are your dental health. A healthy smile creates a happy brain through biofeedback. That internal state then projects outward, creating social trust, professional approachability, and just safer, warmer interactions.
And the why here is pretty compelling. Why should someone listening actually pick up the phone and call Dr. Bowles?
Because you are investing in your own resilience. You aren't just buying a cleaning, you're buying the ability to connect freely with other human beings. You're investing in emotional comfort and career growth. It's an ROI that goes way beyond the mouth.
And if you were in that Northwest Chicago bubble, Arlington Heights, Buffalo Grove, Palatine, anywhere in that Radius Omni Dental and Med Spa, is the partner geared up to help you do that. They're ready to help you maintain a lifetime of good oral health.
And they make the logistics easy. We have the number right here,
Right.
847-483-8833.
And for the millennials and Gen Z listeners who hate calling people, you can book online too.
Which removes one more barrier to entry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we sign off on this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge. We've talked about biology, psychology, dentistry, but I want you to think about your day tomorrow. Think about the morning meeting, the coffee shop run, the dinner with your partner. If a simple, uninhibited smile can literally change your brain chemistry and completely alter the mood of the room you walk into. What opportunities, what connections, and what joy are you leaving on the table right now, simply because you are hesitating to show your teeth?
That is the question to ask.
Thanks for listening to the Omni Dental Podcast. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.